On today's episode, we have Seattle Torrent head coach Steve O'Rourke. This is a conversation you won't want to miss.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Zane Begg alongside Glenn Dreyfus, and we're with Davy Jones Locker Room covering the Seattle Torrent and Seattle Kraken, and welcome to Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today, we interview Seattle Torrent head coach Steve O'Rourke. This was a fascinating conversation. He's so thoughtful and intentional with his answers. I really enjoyed this, and I think you will too.
Steve, I've never sat in a media availability with you and not learned something about hockey. Now, you could say, although you're too nice to, that's because there's so much about hockey I don't know. But okay, like you pointed out, until you pointed it out, I had no idea I'd gone bald.
Yeah. Neither did I. I don't have mirrors in my house either.
But what I wanted to start off with is you have a holistic approach to coaching, which I find fascinating. And what I'd like you to explain is how you've set up an organizational structure built on making sure everyone is heard and listened to, and there's even performance checks in place to monitor that.
Yeah. It's a lifetime, right? It's a lifetime of coming through, playing through different generations. Glenn, I appreciate you saying what you said. And I go back to our first interview. You're my first interview here. And you even threw stuff at me like from junior. So, I mean, you do your job really well. And basically, what did I like? What didn't I like? How can we grow? Like one of the big things for me is just growth all the time in myself in the coaching side, and how do we grow? And part of that is bringing different views in all the time. Like I know we're in this world of diversity. Is it good? Is it bad? I believe in diversity because diverse thought brings you to new ideas and new solutions. If you continue to have the same people around you, you're just going to come up with the same solution all the time. And that's sometimes it's good, but for the most part, to answer a problem, you need some different thinking and to limit people's thinking around you. And again, I work with a performance coach, and one of the things she pushes on is asking the right questions. And that's something I'm really striving to do better, is to try to ask better questions. And she always gets me every time. I was like, it's one of those opening statements, but it's like, how are you doing today? Steven, ask a better question, but it's just
she's a tough grader.
Yes, she is. And she holds me accountable to it. So now for the most part, I just kind of pause and wait because I haven't gotten a good question yet. I just kind of pause and see if she gets going first. So yeah, like for me, it's,
she doesn't
it's a
just
lifetime.
check in with you. The performance coach checks in with everybody, right?
Yes, she does. She does. From Megan to our assistant coaches to our goalie coaches, our video coach, and it's a great way to have that nice buffer. Because am I listening? Like I can ask for feedback, but am I open enough to it? Am I? I'm always aware. It doesn't mean I'm aware of my strengths and weaknesses. It doesn't mean I'm good at my strengths and weaknesses, right? So having someone hold me accountable to that and listen to the others around me where they got an open, fair space to talk and feel comfortable with a third party, I think is really important. It's important for the players. Like we have an actual mental performance person for the players. And I stay right out of that space. Because when you go back in time, and you talk about doctors, mental performance, they're hired by the team. And there's been a gray area over the years, right? Like this doctor in football, that concussion, I need that player. So, okay, you're paid by me. I guess I'll give you a little rubber stamp and get you back on the field. Like for me, it's really important that the players have that person that is just answering to them. They don't answer to me. They don't come back and say, hey, this person's thinking this or not feeling good. They need to have that open space where they can just let loose. Because it is challenging to let loose in front of your coach and tell them exactly how you're feeling. We try to create that environment as much as possible, and it's always a work in progress every day for players to feel comfortable and come in and talk with a coach. And like for me, they talk about an open door policy. Yeah, it's easy to have an open door policy if no one walks through it, right? So. Yeah. I kind of rephrasing it. I'm trying to be out of office policy. Like I'm out of my office, let's just connect in common spaces, whether it's when we're skating around the rink before practice, in the hallway, in the gym, and just having those connections and trying to meet the players in different spaces. So, yeah.
Zane, I have one more follow-up on this topic, which is, Coach, how long did it take the players, maybe the assistant coaches or the trainers, to really buy into that? Because, again, it's one thing to kind of say, yeah, you can be honest, you can be open. And then kind of a follow-up to that is, now that they've embraced it, how do you think it's changed your team?
Well, again, it's a work in progress. Like we have players that have been through different teams and cultures. I do find maybe college isn't as open as, because I think it's good and bad, as we know with the sport, with the portal, like they owned you for 4 years. You didn't get to go anywhere. And a lot of places you don't have an opinion, right? Like just go and do. And now we're seeing it on the good that, hey, if it doesn't fit, I did a presentation up at BC Hockey for the boys and girls program about that, especially on the female side, because they're going to be more NCAA driven. Now we're going to see a real good mix of the boys playing NCAA now, but we find it easy to jump in a portal. I didn't like this, so I'm just going to change, right? But really ask yourself the question, hey, am I first at the field, at the rink? Am I last to leave? Am I asking for extra stuff before I make these decisions, right? So again, coming back to your question, this is a work in progress every day. Like we are like changing habits on the ice. If someone played a certain way for 5-6 years, it's hard to change that habit. And we're trying to create habits for the Seattle Torrent for all 26, and they come with all 26 different varying habits. So I think we've seen it. It's challenging. Vancouver and Seattle are both 7 and 8, and everyone said it was going to be 1 and 2. And like, in some ways it's nice that both of us have had these challenges. So it doesn't like to really realize how big of a journey that we've been on. And I said it before, it's like taking 26 trades, individual trades. And when you get traded, you guys have been around the sport, that you have to find your house. You have to find your route to the facility. You have to meet the coaches, the equipment manager, the athletic therapist. All that takes time to build some type of comfort. And we have to build that comfort through multiple people, and you might get comfortable with the athletic therapist first. Well, that doesn't mean you're comfortable with the head coach yet. Right. So that we're creating this, but again, it's a daily journey of just putting yourself out there as a head coach, as an assistant coach, as a player, just, yeah, letting those walls come down and making sure you're approachable. And I know working with our performance coach, like for me, one of the things that I can get into is into a deep thought. And I try to make sure I hold myself accountable, but I could pass by you, Glenn, in a morning. One of the things I really try to do is make sure I say hello to everybody in the day, right? But I could walk by you and because I'm in deep thought of a drill or something, and I've tried to catch myself. I'm like, Glenn, did I say hello? No, you didn't. Okay, well, say, hey, buddy, hey. Well, you didn't say hello. You said you're going to say hello every day, right? So I'm all right. Like, again, being held accountable right from top to bottom to what we say we're going to do. And that's not easy every day to live that value, right? It takes a lot of energy to live that value for our staff and for our players.
Coming up next, we have part 2 of our conversation with Coach O'Rourke, where he talks about injury prevention and concussions. The Winter Games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years, and that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. For example, hockey games that feel real different right from the opening face-off. Even niche events become must-watch when you are fully locked into the competition. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. There's nothing like going to a live sporting event with the crowd and the energy. It's very different, but getting tickets, that part hasn't always been so simple. And that's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. A few months ago, I went to a Blazers game in Portland. I pulled up the Gametime app and I had tickets within minutes. I loved seeing the all-in price up front, so there were no surprise fees at checkout. I loved the view from my seat so I could see what it looked like before buying. It made the decision easy. You take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Hey, one quick point of order before this next segment. Coach talks about ringette, which some people might not know what that is. All that is a form of hockey, except instead of a puck, it's a hollow blue pneumatic ring, which is much easier to control. So in case you heard that, you didn't know what that is, I just wanted to give a little bit of clarification so you have some context. What was the biggest challenge that you saw coaching men and then going to women? There are certain things that are different. Like, for example, women get 10 degrees more abduction, or the width of the skates is 10 degrees more on each stride, which then creates differences in angles in the push-off, which then changes your injury profile, especially knee injuries. And so you have these different cascading effects by having different hip anatomy, for example, among many other differences. But there are all these studies of athletic performance, and most of them are with men.
Mhm.
There is a lot of junk science out there for people trying to sell courses, which makes it even harder.
Yeah.
Not a lot of equipment is designed for women hockey players. And so there are all these institutional things that are designed for men. And now you're going and you're coaching a professional women's hockey team at the highest level. What were some of the things that you found challenging, or some things you found surprising making that adjustment?
Well, I guess the first thing I'll say is that hopefully with the rising profile of women's sport and in different areas of basketball, soccer slash football, hockey being at this level, volleyball getting to an elite level, hopefully we'll start to see way better science because, again, science follows money, in my opinion, right? We'll pour money into something if there's going to be money and results coming back, right? So, European football, they're going to pour a lot of money into technology if it's going to produce wins, right? And produce more money and people in the stands. So, I hope that we're starting to see people start to focus on women's sport and science much more, which is amazing because I think that area, the one big thing is load management would be really nice for me to see how that looks. But what I've said from day one is I don't see any difference between men's hockey, women's hockey. What I've always said is that I jump on the ice with learn to play players. Okay. I see here's the strengths, here's the improvement areas. I jump on with 16 to 20-year-old junior hockey players. Here's what they need. I've jumped into the PWHL. Here's where I think we can improve in this area, keep these strengths going. So that's really, and the other thing is, I just think we have to just continue to push the game to just be faster, stronger, everything. Because these women are amazing athletes, and just to continue, I think that we obviously, in my eyes, we want to get to where females can coach us at the highest level and be head coaches, and we have some amazing ones in the league. But I think at the lower levels, we have to, one of the things I wanted to try to do, and I haven't got time to it yet, but I want to try to give back to female coaching in the lower levels to show them, okay, let's get away. We got to push. There's way more push we can put on these players, way more demand to play the game in a different way. You can see it. Like, you can see these young American players right now that are coming through with the Olympics. They're playing at an elite level. Like the things like getting off the wall and attacking the middle of the ice, their stick skills, their shooting skills. It's coming, but still some of the tactics. One of the things I talked about is direct, physical, fast. I think that has to go down to a lower level and start getting the physical play in. And when I say the physical play, people will go, oh, listen to this guy, he just wants body checking. No. The physical is about getting on people fast, because this game is all about taking time and space away. So if we can get up the ice and forecheck fast on the proper angles, going through hands, going through sticks, and taking that time and space away, that's what we got to push down to those lower levels and do it in the proper way. Just like we introduce checking. What I like about USA Hockey, if you look at their foundational roots, there is a ton of contact at Learn to Play U7 and U9, U7, I think is the first two levels there. They'll put a ringette on the ice, and I go back. I created this. I shouldn't say this as a Canadian, but I mandated USA Hockey for our U9 and U7 in a plot. And I had a person come up, what do we got this ringette on the ice for? This is stupid, ringette. And the ringette's there because if we put 6-year-olds on the ice with a puck and we want to play a little one-on-one, it's not one-on-one. It's chase a puck all around the ice. You put that ringette on the ice, now they get some nice contact. They got to be strong on their stick. You got to be strong under the stick to lift it. So you start to get this foundation of how to create some contact that is really good. And we took checking out of the game because, we did it wrong. We tell 10-year-olds to go just blow a kid up. No, we check for a purpose. Yes, checking can be used for intimidation purposes. Yes, right. But the essence of checking is to take time and space away and get the puck. Like Robbie Fatorik, I played with his son. He came over and did a little talk where I was playing in Europe. And he said, what's the most important thing in the game? Everyone's hands going up, the forecheck, this. And he goes, the puck, and it is like, you can't lose if you have the puck all the time, because it's at least 0-0, right? So how we check, that's a thing I think is really important, is if with what the PWHL has done with the physical play, we got to push that down into it. So we get more small area games, more small area tactics, evasion, all that stuff. We push that down. And again, we'll just continue to see an explosion of talent through these players. Long-winded answer.
Oh, it's great. You did something in a press conference that I have never seen any hockey coach do at any level.
Uh-oh.
In a question about Jenna Buglioni, you said, I probably shouldn't say this, but she's got a concussion. I've never heard a hockey coach ever divulge more about an injury than they were expected to. Did you get a phone call late at night from the coaches union threatening you to break your legs to make sure that'll never happen again? But more seriously, what goes into that because you're not incentivized to reveal any more information than you absolutely have to. No one expects you to, but there seems to be an openness about certain things with you that I don't see in any other hockey coach.
I don't know if that's a good thing, but in terms of Jenna, I just thought it was important that people understand the difficulty of concussion, the difficulty of coming back from concussion. And if you've had them before, that's your first one. And they're all different. The first one can be a really bad one. It could be a month. It could be 2 months. Your first one could be your 7 days, you're back in the lineup. But once you get that concussion, and I'm very aware of concussions, and I won't reveal too much, but I was coaching in a place that a player got a concussion. Both myself and the other assistant coach worked with this player to bring him back to the lineup. And we said to the head coach, this player is not ready because of the fatigue. Are they cleared? Yes, but they weren't back to their optimum level. And when you're fatigued, the first thing that goes is your awareness and your vision, and that puts you at a real risk of injury. And that happened. The first game back, overplayed the player. He cut at the blue line, had his head down, got hit, and shattered his face hitting the ice. And I've said from that point on, and even I was an injury prone player, and I played through all those injuries. It was never good to play through those, but that's just what you did back then. And I've always made it a real point to never put a player in that situation to have to play injured, because it doesn't look good on them. They don't perform well. They can lose confidence. They can get injured again, all those things. Yes, there's some gray area in playoffs where people will freeze something to make sure they can play. But yeah, I just felt it was important for people to understand that what Jenna has to go through in those moments. That's not an injury that we can say, hey, yeah, it's 10 to 12 days. We know the knee is sore. This is the grade of the knee, which we won't tell you. We just tell you it's lower body, of course, right? But we know those parameters, but the concussion, there's nothing worse than not knowing. And it's an emotional drain on the player. It can be emotionally draining on a staff too, because when they're elite players, it's like, oh, can you get them back? Can you get them back? Right? And there's nothing anyone can do to get them back any faster than the brain will heal. Yeah, we're getting a little bit better with it, but it's still an anomaly, right? I know Glenn mentioned saying the goaltender. Like, if I say Murphy's playing at 5:30, do you really think Toronto, Boston's going to change their game plan? Like, oh man, we practice all week. And yes, in a playoff game, yes, we will prepare for Anna in Boston. Like, yeah, she'll do some tendencies. We might have to, because she's an amazing goaltender. Okay, we might do some drills all week long, and all of a sudden she doesn't play on Friday because maybe she got hurt on Thursday, got the flu. Yeah, but it's not like the world's going to change because this D isn't starting. Most times when you get that information, the team sucks because it's, oh, hey, we got the backup goaltender. It's going to be easy. No, it's actually worse because the team's playing harder in front, right? Like, it's just all the psychological stuff. You're like, hey, we're getting the backup quarterback. And all of a sudden the guy throws for 300 yards because you weren't planned for him, right? Like, you thought it was going to be easy. Right. So, yeah.
Coming up next, we have our final segment with Coach O'Rourke. He talks about Hilary Knight and getting prepared for the Olympics in Italy. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're just not working cleaner. You're also creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's QUO.com/lockedonnhl. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. You've done rooftops and you've chased every happy hour, but how about one that's literally above it all? After 4 p.m., the Space Needles Pint and a Pie takes happy hour sky high, and just for $35 per person, you get entry, your choice of a sweet or savory tip-top pie, and a pint of beer, wine, or a non-alcoholic drink. Whether you're pre-gaming for the Kraken, warming up for Climate Pledge, or just here for the views, this is your night on another level. Pint and a Pie. Limited time offer, 21 plus only, minimum to purchase. Tickets at spaceneedle.com.
All right, last question. And Zame, I'm going to see your Jenna Buglioni anecdote and raise you a Steve O'Rourke, Hilary Knight anecdote, because, Coach, one of the most admirable things you've ever shared, as far as I'm concerned, was when you spoke about Hilary, the Torrent captain, as well as the captain of Team USA, and how you wanted to make sure that she wasn't overworked, overplayed too many minutes before the Olympics. Again, you might have your coach's card revoked for admitting that, but I thought that was beautiful and really seeing the big picture. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Hilary paid that respect back in spades.
Yeah, like I think it was Troy Ryan maybe at the draft that I ran into, and he just said the Olympic, it's real. Like the pressure of the Olympics, it's real. And I wanted to make right from day one, understand that, embrace that. Because again, trying to get blood out of a stone doesn't work. Like saying, "He'll give me more, give me more, give me more," right? Like it's. I know it's not easy because we have 26 players here, and catering to 8 of them at the start, down to 6 of them. But yeah, you're right. Like we hope that their experience, which you look at right now, like. It's not pointing fingers, but like Carps is right there in scoring, Hillary's right there in scoring, Bilks is right there in scoring, Gauze is right there in scoring, right? The league leaders aren't there right now, but they're ahead of us in the standings, and that's who pays my salary. But I just thought it was doing them a disservice. How can we still manage all their minutes, manage them, manage our team within all this other stuff? And I think it was just another level of distraction anyways in forming a brand new team. There was a lot of challenges to forming a new team, like again, our facility off of day one, like I can't rave enough about our equipment people and our athletic therapists of how hard they work. They have been tremendous. Like this league is not easy in terms of the travel and how we travel. We travel at an elite level. So that puts pressure on these coaches. Like we get back from a trip, they're hanging all the gear. Like this isn't junior hockey where you have 20 players staying back, hanging their gear and this. Our players are professional, just like the NHL. They walk away. They're not required to do that. Our staff does that, and they do it at a really, really elite level without complaint. And starting off, it was hard. Like every day, our athletic therapy team had to put together the therapy room in just a little dressing room, take it down because there's minor hockey or a men's team coming in, right? Every day of that, to show up 2 months into the season and being your best version isn't easy. And they've done that and continue to do that. So, and again, like getting our equipment around the country commercial wise. We at times on certain flights, our equipment people are leaving at like 5 a.m., to get there with gear and certain things to get there ahead of time, to be there set up. So when our players walk in, it's professional, and so that is huge. So that part of the Olympics and Hilary and all that stuff, that all just played into that. How do we manage each one of these situations and do it with trying to listen? Like I'll pump my own tires on one. We might have had a little off ice incident down at the Climate Pledge and weren't sure if a player was going to play that night. Right. Well, our gear for our extras was back here at KCI, and someone told me this and found out why don't we have the gear? I go 30 years ago, I would have used some certain language and berated somebody. Instead, it's like, okay, let's solve the problem. Me getting pissed off at somebody doesn't make you better. We'll just learn from it. And we've had our gear there every time since. Is like nobody chose to not bring the gear. It was just something that they missed that day, and then boom, they're right on top of it. So again, I've gone through a lifetime of being on that other side of being an assistant and maybe not being used or to your fullest, or having your opinion answered, or booking a bus that didn't show up at the right time. It's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't drive the bus and coach, right? So some of these problems, you just look at them, let's solve them, let's move on, and then let's be better next time. And that's the way I think everyone just approaches it here. Like, we got great problem solvers with our group here, and we've seen a lot of these challenges. We're excited about these weeks that we have right now that we're using purposefully and intentionally to hopefully come out of the break better and then reintegrate those players back from the Olympics. And we got 16 games to climb the standings and get into the playoffs.
Coach, please promise you will come back, because we want to take the Steve O'Rourke, Professor O'Rourke class again. This has been so much fun. Please promise you'll come back and talk to us again.
I don't know if you can say professor. My grades would never get me to a professor level, I don't think.
All right, we'll audit the class, okay?
Yeah.
All
I
right,
appreciate your guys' time. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Kraken. We will be back on Monday to talk more Kraken, more Torrent, and more Olympics. Make sure you subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you get all the latest episodes. You can find us on all social media platforms at Davy Jones LR or at DavyJonesLockerRoom.com, where we do print coverage of the Kraken and Torrent. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Kraken ad-free, plus a members-only Discord access and more. For those of you on video, we send you over to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure this is one of your 2 daily listens. For Davy Jones Locker Room, I'm Zane Begg, and I'm Glenn Dreyfus. Thank you, Glenn. And we'll see you on Monday.